happy to have all of you here on the floor. We are very happy that the Inspire strategies interested so many of you. We will have this series until the first week of February, so we will have some more possibilities to meet you. If we have luck and fortune, and hope we will have 7 speakers on the 7 strategies. Just let me say a few words about the Inspire. I'm sure that you, most of you already know the Inspire and the whole global package. This is a WHO inspired evidence-based package on the violence against children and young people. It's a joint commitment of the UN agencies dealing with children and young people to stop the violence against children worldwide. So it's a global partnership of all relevant actors in the international community. So it's a quite serious one, if I may say so. And the Inspire is a very good tool in the hand, basically. So it's not just about theory, how to prevent the violence and how to tackle this phenomena, but gives really good practical examples and tool in your hand how to do that and how to implement the theory of the violence against children. So basically, it's also an implementation of the UNCRC, so the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is a quite important issue. And also it's part of the SDGs, so the Sustainable Development Goals, which gives for all the countries in the world until 2030 quite serious and concrete steps to make this world for a better place. But in the field of the violence against children gives quite concrete goals until 2030. For example, the Inspire strategy would like to reduce not only the violence, but increase the knowledge of the young and adolescent persons on violence against children, on human rights, on gender equality, on different knowledges in that field, which in some can prevent the violence against them, which is a quite serious phenomenon still also in the developed and also in the developing world. So worldwide, it's unfortunately a very bad and everyday phenomena. We will talk about the Inspire strategies, which we have 7 of them. The 7 strategies are the following. The first is the implementation of laws which are targeting the violence legislation, basically. The second is the norms and values. The third is safe environment, like not only the home but also schools, for example. The fourth is the parent and caregiver support, because the Inspire believes that it's the prevention and the effective fight against violence works only in the collaborative way, when we hand in hand work in the professionals with each other. And also we need to involve the parents and the caregivers too. The fourth is the income and economic strategy, because we also know that the prevalence of the violence sometimes occurs much more, let's say, so if there is economic problems in the background too. So we need also find solutions on the economic issues. The fifth is the response and support services, which are quite important. And sixth is the education, and the life skills is the seventh. So, so we will talk about now the education and life skills. And this seventh strategy try to talk about issues in that field, like the sexual abuse issues and the sexual education as a form of prevention of violence. The safe schools also are partly here, and the intimate partnership communication and the healthy intimate partnership among adolescents. So it's really focusing on the sexual education when we are talking about life skills among the young persons, among the teenagers. So we are very glad to have Miss Bernadette Fodor here, who is editor of the Yelon application and webpage of the Hintalovon Child Rights Foundation, which is a quite fresh and well-known Hungarian child rights NGO who started and developed this application on sexual education. We invite her to present the project, also as part of the prevention work on sexual education. Yeah, this is my part, and I give the floor to Bernadette, and please feel free to comment and ask questions from us. We are happy to answer you. Thank you, and Bernadette, it's your turn.
Hello. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you please just leave some comments in the chat if you can? Okay.
See you at the moment.
Cannot see me. Okay. And now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Just put on a poll about whether you have heard before about the INSPIRE strategy. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So, hello everyone. I am Bernadette Fodor from Hintalovon Child Rights Foundation in Hungary, just as Agi said it before. I am the leader of the sexual educational program called Yelon, which I'm really excited to introduce you today. For that, let me start with a question, and I would be really happy if you could write some answers very shortly, just some words in the chat window. I would like to know what comes into your mind first when you think of sexual education. I'm really curious. So thank you if you answer me really shortly. Just some keywords or a situation or where it takes place. And I will tell you soon why I'm asking this. Yes, I can see that some of you are typing right now. Yes, let's wait some more minutes or seconds. I'm really interested. Just some keywords. There's no need for longer sentences. Okay, I can see some of those now, like safe sex, sexual enlightenment, family planning, reproductive rights in schools, it's insufficient, sexual consent, talking to children to some sensitive to them topics, responsibility, body pleasure, taboos, safe sexual behavior. Perfect, thank you so much. Of course, there are no right and wrong answers for this question. The reason why I wanted to know is because in Hungary, this expression is not really common. Instead, we use the expression which is already in the chat window, that is sexual enlightenment, usually referring to a conversation when an adult, probably a parent or a teacher, describes to a child what a sexual intercourse is, how a baby is conceived and born, what menstruation is, what erection is, why protection is important. But we here at Yelon believe that sexuality is much more about much more than sex, and that one conversation is not enough. But children need sexual education, which is best to start at the very early age of 0. And I would like to highlight some of the main reasons why we think that, and which led us to create Yelon. So we experience that sexuality is still a taboo in our society, in spite of the fact that sexuality is very openly depicted in media, and there is unlimited access of everyone to any type of pornographic material. And there are studies which claim that according to According to a European study, porn is the third most popular search word of children between the ages of 7 and 10. And also there was a Hungarian study showing that a child's first encounter with porn usually happens at the age of 11. And based on what they see, children believe that sexuality is equal to sex, which we find really concerning. And we also know that 1/3 of children have some kind of sexual experience by the time they get any sexual education at school. In Hungary, it is usually part of biology class around the age of 13 or 14. And on the other hand, it is also proved that sexual abuse among teenagers is more frequent than before widely accessible porn. And also that almost half of secondary school girls and 16% of boys are seriously worried about being raped. This is based on a Hungarian study as well. So we see that porn combined with a lack of proper sexual education leads to a higher risk of harassment among teens. Based on that, we can see that children need age-appropriate, professional, and reliable sexual education for the healthy development of their self-image and sexuality. This is the main reason why we created this program. And we also know that Generation X, Y, and Alpha children are most active in the virtual space. Hence, we decided to design an online sexual educational platform, and that is Yelon. Yelon is a website and application with a help chat for teens aged 10 and 18. And there's a connected page for adults, mostly for parents and teachers, and any responsible adults working and living or dealing with children between the ages of 0 and 18. We created the program to give easily accessible information on all the questions that sexuality involves, not only sex, but also connected themes. We would like to give answers to questions which are regularly regarded as a taboo. And this way, Yelon approaches the notion of sexuality in a holistic way that is inseparable from self and body relations and intimity. So we have the website for teens, where they can select contents by categories. We have a structure of 4 categories. One that is related to any issues, related issues to the body. One is about self-image and one's personal inner issues. We have a category about sex itself. And the 4th one is relations, any kind of relations. It can be romantic, between a parent, a child, it can be friendship, or any relation that is really there at the teenager's life. On the website itself, we have articles, videos, quizzes, and lots of visual contents as well. We created everything in a way that it is safe and proper to see. It's very important for us not to sexualize children in any way, so they don't see very explicit material on the website. Next to these contents, we have a vocabulary for teens with the very basic words connected to these topics, where they can find short descriptions. For example, what sperm is, or what does lesbian mean. And we have an A&Q about frequently asked questions, which are linked to articles where they can read in more details about the topics. A typical question like this is, I watch porn, is it a problem? Or can I get pregnant during oral sex? or I had sex with a boy, are we a couple now? These are very typical questions of teenagers, which may sound, I don't know, easy for adults or maybe funny, but they are serious. They can be seriously worried when they cannot find the right answers for these. From the website, chat is also available. I will tell you more about that a little bit later. And we have a page to which you can switch from the main page. This is for the page for adults. Here we try to cover issues regarding anything between the child's age, between the ages of 0 and 18 in a child's life. We would like to give information on everything that is crucial for the well-being of children. We would like to help parents with tips how to use positive parenting tools, how to avoid violence, and also to understand children better. Sorry, I can see a question. Is the app only in English? Actually, the application is in Hungarian and everything is in Hungarian. The application is primarily for chatting. There are some, there's a selection of articles in the application too, but this is only for teenagers, and we designed it in a way that it is comfortable to them, for them to chat. Yes. Let me tell you. Okay, I think I will answer the questions later if it's okay for you. I'm happy if you write anything that comes into your mind in the chat window, so I can answer those questions when I'm finished. No, that's totally okay. Thank you. I just would like to stay focused, but please write anything that comes into your mind in the chat window, and I will answer the questions at the end of the presentation, if that's okay. So actually we developed the program 2 years ago. It was launched at the very beginning of 2017, and in the development we worked together with some professionals, mostly psychologists, trainers who are really experienced with in work with children. Teenagers were a very important part of the process as well. They helped us to find the right design and the right tools in the application and also on the website. And we tested the chat system as well with a bigger group of children. Of course, we worked together with IT developers who created or the technical part of the project. Which was funded by Telenor, that is an international telecommunication company. Okay, all right. Okay, I know it's a contradiction, but here is a question which actually is really relevant at this moment. Where is the name coming from? Yelon is a fantasy name. We thought about it a lot. We wanted something which is easy to use internationally, easy to understand, easy to remember. And Yelon is kind of an abbreviation of "you are not being alone." So this is why we call this program Yelon. So the program has these two main parts, the chat program and all the contents on the website and in the application. And we have two teams for these two parts. On the contents, we work together with an editorial team. This is a rather big one if we count all the authors, lectors, the editor, the proofreader, and we have a group of translators as well. Because mostly we work with text. We have lots of written articles. The most of them are directly written for us by some professionals like doctors, psychiatrists, some volunteers from the chat program, and we have teenagers also who write for Yelon, because we find it really important to show their own experiences and emotions in connection with topics. And we also publish some translations, mostly from English, for which we have, of course, an approval from the original website. And sometimes we republish some other Hungarian articles as well. Yes, and we try to cover the most basic and important knowledge on sexuality and on the issues and questions of adolescence. We try to reflect on the most popular topics from the chat as well. So the editorial team is in connection with the chat team, so we often have feedbacks from them, what children are mostly interested in, what is the information that they cannot find on the website, and we try to cover more of these topics. And if there's a current issue in Hungary involving teenagers, we also try to really reflect on those as well. And it works vice versa. So when we start a series, for example, on a specific topic on the website, often questions connected to them appear in the chat conversations as well. As I mentioned before, on the adult website, we try to give help and support to parents and to teachers about positive parenting, what we experience is that they really need practical help. They kind of understand what's not okay with the methods they have used so far, but they don't know what other ways they have to be in a better relationship with the children. And we also cover very sensitive issues of upbringing a child, in which there's an important role of the parents themselves, especially in the sense of self-knowledge, because we would like to teach them how their behavior is reflected in the behavior of a child. And the other big part of the program is chat. We have a crew who run this program. They are mostly volunteers who are really highly skilled after they completed a training program, which was developed by the foundation itself. So their selection is a very long process. It takes about half a year. There are many phases, and there's a selection after each phases. First, they need to usually have an announcement in the media that we are looking for volunteers into our chat program, and first they need to fill out an application form with very short questions. After that, they come to a personal interview with one of our colleagues. Then they need to take an online exam after they learned an e-learning material, which is also developed by us. And all those who are selected at this level of the process go to a 3-day training, which is a really intensive one. This is where they learn about child abuse, about adolescence issues in general, pornography, about child rights, and they also practice chat skills, which are essential for our program. Next to these big main parts of the program, we often cooperate with others. Sometimes we give lectures at schools, for example, but this is not a prior purpose for us, and we have just launched a web shop on the website of the foundation, where we would like to give more materials like e-learning materials, posters, handouts, which can help the parents with the children. And we have many plans for the future, of course. One of them is to create an online video course for teachers on sexual education, why it's important and how they can do it at school. Now I have a poll for you, which you will see soon in a window, I hope. Yes. I would like to tell you about the most popular topics of Yelon. So my question is, what do you think is the most popular article for teens about? I will give you some minutes. Actually, we pay attention all the analytics connected to the website and the chat program, because we really want to do what children and adults are interested in. Okay, wow, great. Okay, so the four topics were erection, depilation for girls, menstrual cycle, and the signs when somebody likes me. Actually, these are our four top topics for teenagers. And the first one is depilation for girls, which was a really big surprise for us as well. But still, it's something important for them. The second one is the menstrual cycle. Third one is erection, and the fourth one is the sign when from which I can know that somebody likes me. Thank you so much for your answers. Before I move on, I would like to tell you a little bit about the adult articles. The most popular article there is about Snapchat, how it works and why teenagers like it so much. The second one is the signs of sexual abuse when a child is a victim. So how a parent can know, or how anybody can know that something like this happened to a child. The third most popular is the integrity of the child's own body. So how we should respect children's bodies. And the fourth one is what a parent can do when the child watches porn. In the chat program, sexuality is the most common topic, then love, fear or anxiety, and body-related issues. So yes, in this slide you can see some numbers from the last 2 years. We have had 122,000 visitors so far, and we did 4,700 chat conversations. We are very frequently present in the media, and we are really proud that Yelon won 2 awards. Yelon has won 2 awards so far. One is for being the best educational website of 2017, and the other one is the title Best New NGO Initiative of 2018. We have some challenges as well. One of them is fundraising, because Yelon is our flagship program in the foundation, so we don't want to risk it to finance it by donations. We use corporate sponsorship for that. As I mentioned, Tenor is one of our sponsors, just as the Flemish government, and we have a lot of help with professional services, like an IT service, for example, pro bono, which is great for us. Another difficulty is communication. Teenagers are not easy to reach on the internet, especially because we cannot really collect any data about their behavior in the online space. But we use Facebook for communication to adults. We use Instagram not really effectively yet, but we would like to be better at that to reach children. We have some offline campaigns as well. One of them was city light posters around Budapest, which has a great effect on the numbers, on the number of the visitors and children in the chat program. And as I mentioned, sometimes we also give lectures at schools. But this is something which we decided not to put too much emphasis on because we think that it's better if a child finds Yelon among his own environment, and it's not, I don't know, it's not something that an adult tells him or her to use. And of course, we have some issues, as you can see, with IT and SEO development. We have some backend problems and sometimes front-end problems as well that we need to fix. And we need to learn how to produce content which are really visible for the Google search engine, because it's really crucial for being really well known and available when a child looks for some information in Google. And I would like to tell very shortly about violence against children in the program itself. It's mostly related to the chat program. We have the chat open at the moment 3 times a week, on Monday, Wednesday and Saturday between 6 and 10 p.m. At the same time, we have 6 volunteers at the office. They can chat only from the office, and there's always a very experienced volunteer who supervises their work and who help them if they have a very difficult conversation, for example, because it happens a lot, especially because violence is present in the conversations in about 40 or 50% of all of the conversations. Sexual abuse is really oftenly appeared there, mostly committed by someone from the family. Usually it's between the ages of 12 and 14 when a child tells about it, and it's really difficult for them to talk about it. It's not rare that the chat conversation is the very first time when they talk about it to anyone. But violence at school is there very often as well. It's not physical violence, rather offensive remarks or sometimes unwanted touches by trainers or teachers. And the third issue is here. The third issue is negligence at home in the chat program, which can be really hurtful for the children as well. For example, when a parent says really hurtful remarks about the child, like you won't achieve anything in life, you cannot meet your boyfriend, or you're a slut if you sleep with boys. This is something that is not easy to handle without help. So what we can do in the chat conversation is that we state that something is not okay, that this is violence. Nobody has the right to do it to them, and it's absolutely not their fault. This is the very beginning, and that we say to anyone who suffers any kind of violence and tells about it. If there's a way, we try to find, together with the children, we try to find some solution to avoid a situation when sexual abuse is present, like how to avoid meeting your father at the weekends, or how to turn to who can help the child in the environment. And of course, also we would like to offer them some further help if they are open to this. Because in the chat program, we have no information about a child who comes to the who is in the conversation. We don't know any IP address to them. They cannot send links in order to defend them. And as soon as the conversation box is closed, the conversation is not available anymore. It's deleted from the system of Yelon as well. And of course, this is for the safety of the child. They can chat without any registration. They anonymously. They don't need to use a nickname. So the chat program is about all their safetiness. This is the very first priority. And in the foundation, we have another program called Pro Bono Child Rights Center, where we give legal advice and legal help in cases when a child is involved. And in the chat conversations, we give some information about what happens when a child wants to find some legal help in a case like, for example, sexual abuse, because it can be really difficult for them. And if she or he wants that, they can apply for the center for help. But this is something that they need to do. They need to go on the website and to fill an application form for that. This is what I have prepared for today. I'm really happy that I can be here and I could tell everything I wanted to now. So in conclusion, I can say that we really believe that the sexual education can be a part of the fight to prevent violence against children, and we hope that more and more people will agree with us, and we'll do something for that. Thank you so much for your attention, and now I would be happy to answer the questions as well. Okay. Yes, one of the questions was, is the application only in English? Yes, as I mentioned, that it's only in Hungarian right now, and we are not planning to do it in any other language. Maybe in the future we can use Yelon as a model for programs in different countries. But this is not in the very close future. I told you about the name, and next one is, do you think such an initiative could work out in Africa, in rural areas? I think, of course, I'm not really well informed about the situation in the rural areas in Africa. This program is based on the fact that children are online very much, so most of them have some kind of tool for that, mobile phone, they use tablets at home. If there's access to the internet, I think it can work anywhere, especially if it is has the right changes for the local situation. I am from Georgia, and in my country context, there are some groups against sexual education in any place, including schools, homes, and internet spaces. I wonder to know if you had some challenges in your country and how did you solve it? I can say we have never experienced that. It is rather a surprise for us as well, but the feedbacks are really great, I think, especially in cases which we would think that sexual education is even a bigger taboo. But we had a training or a presentation with a group of Jewish children as well. We were invited there, and they were really open. They were really happy to discuss their issues, their typical issues there with us. So I think we are really lucky, but we haven't experienced any challenge like this here in the last 2 years. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Bernadette, and we are happy to have your questions from the audience, so please write in the chat box or even comments of your experiences with similar initiatives. Waiting, Bernadette, could you say a few words? Maybe you remember the comments of the young people's group when you were developing the app, some of the things that they were recommending you or asking for?
Oh, actually, I need to admit that I wasn't part of the development. I came to the foundation after that. But I know that their remarks were really important. Also regarding the context, I mean the content themselves, and also the form. It is really important for them to see the application and the website as something cool. To use that kind of visuality they see somewhere on the platforms they use. We also tested if they can find the buttons, it's whether they are well hidden, too hidden, or how easy it is to use different tools in the application. Actually, we still work with children in the program. For example, in creating the materials, they give all their thoughts and comments on each article that is published in Yelon, and in the process of fixing the problems, it's also very important to ask for their advice. These are the ones I can remember.
Question about how long it took for the development of the whole thing?
The development took, strictly, I think it took about half a year, which means the training of the first group of volunteers for the chat program, and also for creating the design and the structure and all the IT development. But we've been working on the program since then continuously. So we always try to fix the problems and to offer better user experience and to find better ways to the issues which we haven't discussed yet. Yes, I can see more questions here.
Study, and have users, especially parents, found this app useful? Has the outreach of the app expanded throughout time?
Yes. Actually, the app itself is only for children. We have very little feedback on the application itself. So children can use the chat program and the application. It's very interesting because we can see that when there's for example, when we have a campaign, the children who want to chat need to wait a lot because there are a lot of them in the program at the same time. But other times we have very few kids who would like to talk to us in that period of time when we are open. And we also can see that in the background statistics that they often delete the application from their phone because they don't have enough space for all the other applications. After that, they download it again. So we can see it as a very hectic in a way, I think. Right now, we experience that there are many children who want to use the application, and there was really great interest around Christmas time, for example. We are working on how to have a constantly high number of conversations at the same time. Yes, yes. As I mentioned, yes, sorry, I just read the last question. Do you have any information if the application helped to prevent a crime of sexual abuse against a child? Do you cooperate with law enforcement bodies? our foundation cooperates with law enforcement bodies, but it's mostly the Child Rights Pro Bono Center, which I mentioned at the end of my presentation, because we don't have any personal information on a child who is in a chat conversation. We cannot follow up what happens after the conversation is closed. Of course, sometimes we know that it's not the first time we have talked to a child, so there are some children who come back and back. We really don't know directly, but this is because of our safety policy.
Has it ever happened that you could encourage a child or get a child to actually make a disclosure, a formal disclosure to any adult around them?
I think it happens once, yes. This is what we know of. We really don't have much information on that.
And then there was one question. Well, basically that child exploitation is becoming bigger every day, and that there is the Darknet. And how does this application fit in this fight against the growth of the Darknet and the perpetrators and violence?
What we try to do, or what we are doing on our website, this is an important part of the fight against violence as well, that both in articles for children and for parents, we try to give more and more information on digital safetyness, how to be careful with all the information, all the photos, all the materials they share online, especially in the social media. We try to educate parents not to upload photos of their children and not even share very detailed information on children on the internet. And at the same time, in the articles, we also would like to teach the online safetyness for children as well, for their own safetyness, how to be sure who they talk to, how to be careful with relationships which are only online, in situations when they never met before, just as with other topics regarding violence, about consent, about respecting others, about being cautious. I think this is what the program is really good for, and we do this consciously.
Thank you, Bernadette.
Thank you so much.
If there are no more questions, then I give the floor to Aggie and also show her to you.
Thank you.
And to say a few words in closing.
Hi everyone, thanks Bernadette again. It was a wonderful, and we just kick off the upper limit as far as I know with the participants. So it's a good series now, and we hope that you will be with us next week too. We will have the next webinar series, Professor Jonathan Shepherd from the Cardiff University, who will talk about a very special wealth related project, so-called Cardiff model, which was also identified as a good practice of the INSPIRE package implementation. So I hope that we can meet next week at the 17th of January, 3 p.m. You will find the webinars on the just below. And you can also find the information about the Yelon project, about the INSPIRE package. And please feel free to sign up to the Childhub newsletter too. We are very happy to have you on the list. And yeah, just what shall I do?
No, it's just that the
okay. Sorry. Okay, so just sign up to the newsletter, and also Professor Shepherd sent you to the participants a small, really brief reader before the presentation. So we will put on the webinars link too. So well, thank you very much, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you very much, Bernadette, for your very interesting lecture. And yes, I really hope to see all of you back next week for the second of the series of the Inspire webinars. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.